When you leave here today, we really hope you'll be impressed by the work of UN Women and certainly want to do more with our chapter. But we really want something more. When you go away, we really want you to be an activist. We need you to be an activist. You might be an employee or a manager or perhaps a company owner. You are a volunteer or a shareholder somewhere. You might be a theater goer or a museum patron. You're probably a board member or a volunteer somewhere. You're certainly a consumer and undoubtedly a family member. Every single one of these roles gives you an opportunity to make a difference. Let me explain how. Gender equality is important for everyone. It's not just something nice that we do for girls and women. It's important for societies. Study after study shows that when we have more gender equality, we do better. We all do better. We are more educated, we are healthier, our companies are more prosperous. So we know that in communities and countries and companies around the world, more gender equality is better for everyone. It's foundational. But it's not just happening on its own. We need activists to bring that about. That's where you come in. So whether or not you want to do more with our chapter, I really want you to think about these 4 things that I'm going to tell you and see how you can integrate them into your lives. Number 1, combat everyday sexism and stereotypes. If you were with us for our lunch last year, we had a humorous game show actually called What Do You Say?, which looked at how you can respond when you hear a sexist or a racist or a homophobic comment, because people say they do hear that. So it was funny, but it was a real subject. Let me just talk a little bit more about that again this year. We all know what it's like. You're at a cocktail party and you overhear a sexist comment. You're at a meeting and someone talks over a woman. You're watching television and a commentator makes fun of Prince George, the littlest British royal, for taking ballet lessons, I think it was. You have a friend, a male friend, who says he helps out with the kids. We've all heard something like this. These things, unfortunately, aren't just jokes. We sort of chuckle, but these accumulated attitudes and behaviors and methods of speaking make a difference. They shape our cultures, they shape our workplaces, they shape our relationships, they shape our lives. They make a difference. I'll give you another example. Think about money. Very often in popular culture, women and money are portrayed like women are sort of the guardians of the family budget. We're in charge of frugality and saving and that sort of thing. But men are investment managers, men have long-term goals, men have power suits and Rolex watches. The sound is different. Think about appearances. If we bring a gendered approach to appearances, it's hard to shift the narrative. It's wonderful to look nice. I hope you all do. I'm sure you all do. But if we consistently talk about women's appearances in a way that we would not for men, we're not helping. How are we going to get our female political candidates taken seriously if we continue to focus on things like appearance? These things do make a difference, and we all can play a part in changing that narrative. Or finally, don't silo women's events. You know the TED Talks, now it's a juggernaut. Originally it was 1 or 2. There's a TED Women's. It feels like a pet project of TED. Why do we have a TED Women? Since when are women's things not part of human things? We are 50% of the population. So be careful you don't silo women's issues. That reinforces some stereotypes. So first thing, change your own thinking and be an active bystander. If you overhear something, speak up. You can find a fun or a humorous or a gentle way to say something. Speak up. Be an active bystander and help us out. Combat sexist and gender stereotypes. 2, be an advocate for women in public. I don't know about you, but I really like the diversity of our country. I think it's one of the crown jewels of America. And when I go out in public places, I like to see a little bit of this diversity. It makes it nice. It makes it fun. Perhaps like you, I'm also a museum goer. So when you go to museums, what kind of diversity do you think you see? I will clue you in, not very much. You're pretty much seeing the art of white men. If you haven't thought about this, think about it when you go to the museum next. Of the top 100 museums in America, so that's the Met, the LA Contemporary Museum, Philadelphia, Boston, etc. The permanent collections, 87% of the permanent collections are men. 85% are white men. Okay, now you might think, well, that's history, that's the permanent collections, we know what the histories look like, but things are different now, right? We've all changed. The last 10 years, from 2008 to 2018, acquisitions of these museums, 12% women, 12%. We're barely above the double digits here. And I'm sorry, if you're from Boston, the Boston Museum of Fine Art, 4% of recent acquisitions were women. That's like a rounding error. That's not half the population. We know there are women artists out there. How are they going to get work? So think about that. Okay, what about movies? You might say there's been a big change in movies. Well, think again. In 2018, of the 100 top grossing films, 3% were directed by women. And you know that the producers weren't much beyond that. Women are still 4 times more likely to be naked on screen. It's true. Men still speak twice as much in films, so we haven't made a lot of progress there. And we'll take one more in that line, the theater. In the 2016-17 New York theatrical productions, the Broadway plays that have female playwrights, 11%. And off-Broadway is not much better. So you see where I'm going with this. But you can make a difference. You can be an advocate for women in public. You're a patron. You're a member of these museums. Maybe you're a volunteer. Maybe you're on a board. Maybe you work for these galas. You can make a difference. Speak to them. Say, hey, I love this, but why aren't there more female artists here? We need to change. We can bring some in. You do have a voice, and they listen to you. So think about that. It's not nothing. Think about books. Next time you go to your local independent bookstore, look at the tables. Are most of the books by men? Tell them. They'd be happy to know. Say, hey, I love your bookstore. Maybe you could bring in some more female authors here. Or if you're signing up for your next speaker's panel, are women distributed on that speaker's panel? Or if you're a man, don't be on a panel that's only women. This is 2019. It's not necessary. Unless you're discussing personal experiences with prostate cancer, I think you can find some women to be on those panels. Trust me, we're there. So be an advocate for women in public. I can't stress how important this is. Next thing, be a conscious consumer. And there's 3 parts of this. There's products, there's companies, and then there's politics. So for products first, let's play the video. Just take a look.
So, on my show, what I like to do is I like to promote kindness and equal rights, and I don't like labels, and I don't see color. I'm like a Cocker Spaniel in that way. And I don't like pointing out differences between people, especially men and women. And I thought that women, we've made a lot of progress towards equality. And we're allowed to vote, and I think since 1982 now. And we can wear pants, we can drive at night, all those things have happened. And then I saw something that makes me think we still have a little bit of ways to go. It's a new product from Bic, the pen company. And they have a new line of pens called Bic for Her. And this is totally real. They're pens just for ladies. I know what you're thinking. It's about damn time. Where have our pens been? Can you believe this? We've been using man pens all these years. Yeah. And they come in both lady colors, pink and purple. And they're just like regular pens, except they're pink, so they cost twice as much. That is absolutely true as well. The worst part is they don't come with any instructions. So, like, how do they expect us to learn how to write with them, you know? I was reading the back of the pack. Well, I had a man read the back of the package to me. And it said it's designed to fit a woman's hand. This is all true. I'm not making any of this up. Designed to fit a woman's hand. What does that mean? Like, so when we're taking down dictation from our bosses, we'll feel comfortable and we'll forget we're not getting paid as much? I don't know. I mean, just think over the last 20 years, companies have spent millions of dollars making pills that grow men's hair and fix men's sex lives, and now ladies have a pen. We've come a long way, baby.
I can't say it any better than Ellen. You get the pink products thing. We don't need them. That's products. But you're also a consumer in a way of companies and organizations. You support companies. Women control 70% of disposable income and a heck of a lot of non-disposable income. Think about the companies you're buying products from. Think about the organizations perhaps that you volunteer for. There's a few things you can look for. Are their boards made up of women? Do their boards have half the women? This is important. Do they have pay transparency? Women will not start to have pay equity until we have pay transparency. Do they have generous family leave policies? These are hugely important to women. And you don't even have to do all the research yourselves anymore. There's all kinds of indicators that can provide you with that information. Do a little bit of homework and say, you know, is the group that I'm volunteering with or perhaps I have investments. If you've got savings, your money is sitting somewhere. Is it sitting in a company that is doing the right thing by gender? It doesn't take that long to figure out, and that's a huge weight. That makes a big difference. So be a conscious consumer with those companies. If you're on a board of an organization, ask them, are we 50% women? We're half the population. There's no reason it's not there now. Finally, the third thing to be a conscious consumer is politics. I won't be partisan, but I think you should look at the record and the concern for gender equity when you go to the voting booth. So be a conscious consumer. Finally, fourth, support organizations that work on gender equality. It's not trickling down. We started by saying that gender equality is foundational for everyone, not just this nice thing we do. It's foundational for everyone. It will help us all. So we need to support organizations that work on that goal. Not enough is being invested. Of all the private money Americans donate, 1.6% goes to organizations that work on gender equality. 1.6%. That's nuts. It's not happening without that. So we really need to work on that. Excuse me. It's chronically underfunded. Look, we're educating girls like never before. We're launching them into the world. They're being educated all over the globe. We can't be putting up these barriers after they get out of education. We see these things down the road. We know what they're going to be hitting. We've got to start to change the landscape. And it is truly possible. If everybody can be an activist in their own life, I truly believe it is possible. I am the eternal optimist. So, 4 things. You can be an activist. Combat everyday sexism and stereotypes. Speak up for women in public places. You can do it gently, but do it. Be a conscious consumer. Your products, your groups and organizations, where you spend your money, and invest in companies and organizations that help gender equality.